From Oshkosh Community Media Services and the City of Oshkosh, this is the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your City Manager.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, joined today by our Assistant City Manager for Oshkosh, John Fitzpatrick, and you are sitting in today for City Manager Mark Roloff. So, John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
So we're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show, get a little feel for what's going on here in Oshkosh, and then we'll take a little break and return with a review of the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, April 14th, 2015.
Okay.
So, John, I was telling you that I think Mark owes you a little something because this is the second time in the last 2 weeks that you've had to fill in for him.
Well, he's on vacation right now, so that's well deserved. He doesn't owe me.
Yes, it is.
I'm glad to do it.
Yeah, and you actually, the last time you filled in for him was a big night, State of the City. It was a great turnout. Over 300 people came to this event.
Yeah, it was super.
Yeah. And so Mark was under the weather, so you did end up giving the presentation.
Right.
But what we wanted to talk about first was the expo portion, which is a really special part of every State of the City, having to do with a bunch of different departments coming out and getting to talk to different people within the community.
Right. No, I've been fortunate to have seen the first State of the City that we did, and then how it's really grown tremendously since then to now. And the idea of the employee fair where we have different departments available, and also not only just departments but other related city functions, boards.
Yes, we had Go EDC was
there.
Right,
different groups that work closely with the city, they're also there. So I think it was just a fabulous turnout. People were in a very positive mood and happy to be out and about, so it was just a great night all the way around. And and you're right, I think it was the biggest turnout we ever had for State of the City. I think we had well over 300 people there, so that was fantastic.
And it just goes to show that people are interested in what's going on here in Oshkosh. And
absolutely.
I think that interest is kind of catching on, and seeing the attendance from that evening really shows that. And it's a great opportunity for people to kind of get to know the people that are working behind the scenes here in the city.
And it's great for the employees too, because they work very hard on their projects, and to have an opportunity to talk to people about everything that they're working hard on, that's really gratifying for them. It generates the opportunity for them to, talk about how proud they are of everything that they're involved in. So it's a good situation for us and the employees too.
And there are a lot of great things to highlight. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the presentation that you gave. What was the overall theme this year, would you say?
Well, the theme this year was the idea that we really can't achieve anything on our own, and we really need to have the assistance of the citizenry. And we took a look at some of the things that had the state of the city in the past, and how some of the accomplishments that some of the folks that participated have really provided us the opportunity to work on some of the things we're working on today, whether it be council members or citizens or city staff. It was great to have an opportunity to see some of those folks from the past.
It was really cool. It was kind of a little step back in history to kind of hear about what Oshkosh was like back in the 70s and the 80s, and taking a look at some old video that we have from even before that. So just kind of taking a look back, but also looking ahead and taking a look at some of the current projects that have really kind of come a long way.
Right, and I think that I had a lot of people come up to me and say, well, I never really realized that if we hadn't done this, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So that was really important, to try to recognize those folks that have done all the things to get us to this point.
And really recognizing, like you said, the past people who have been involved, but as well as the boards and commissions members, where they were really highlighted this year, both in the video that we had, as well as some citizen service awards that we were kind of highlighting and honoring them for some milestones. So it's kind of special to honor them both in the presentation and in the regular awards that we typically do.
It was, very much so. It's a very good night.
In addition to that, we had a couple of Community Partnership Award winners that we wanted to mention. First was the Friends of the Oshkosh Senior Center, have done so much over the past 50 years here in Oshkosh. So they were recognized, as well as a really cool group from Oshkosh North High School, which is the communities group. They've been a huge partner to the city.
I can't tell you how many people came up to me and talked to me about the Oshkosh Youth Group at Oshkosh North and how they never realized all the different things that they're involved in. That was just fascinating, I think, for people that didn't know, some of the things that they were involved in. It was just
great. Yeah, the communities is really kind of becoming a household name here in Oshkosh, which is awesome. So we were very happy to highlight them at our program.
Absolutely.
So overall, great state of the city, and we're already looking forward to next year.
That's right. That's right. We got to keep moving forward.
Definitely. So John, the next thing we want to talk about is the Oshkosh Police Department. They were recently reaccredited with the Wisconsin Law Enforcement Accreditation Group, better known as WILEAG, one of those wonderful little nicknames we have here in the city.
Right.
But this is kind of a big deal. It happens every 3 years, but it still is worth mentioning. It's, they have very high standards. I think it was, I talked to Chief Groyle earlier today, and he told me there are only 3 departments in Wisconsin that are nationally accredited, and then only 20 in the state that are state accredited.
That's right.
It's kind of a big deal for our police department here in Oshkosh.
It is, absolutely. And I know, unfortunately, police work is received a lot of negative press lately, because of some of the unfortunate circumstances that have taken place across the country. But it's important for, I think, our citizens to understand that, our police officers are of the very highest caliber, and they take great pride in that. And although they're a small force in regard to their place with the population size of communities across the state of Wisconsin, because they're so highly trained and because we're able to secure people who want to work here because of the reputation of the police department, they're able to do things, I think, that other departments aren't. And,
definitely.
And their commitment to excellence really shows through with their accreditation. As you said, only 3 departments in the state of Wisconsin are recognized nationally for this accreditation. So it's important, and there are some pretty stringent standards that they have to meet. And
there are.
They have a team that comes in that's made up of people from other police departments across the country and external evaluators, and they have to pass some very high things in terms of how they do things, what their training is, how they manage their department, what sort of standards they have in place in regard to evaluating their employees and the security of their processes and procedures and considerations for the public. So we're very proud of them. I know they're very humble. They don't like to really talk about things that they achieve very often, but we're very fortunate to have all the members of the OPD here protecting us.
Definitely. And like you said, they deserve that recognition. They are very humble, and I think we're very lucky to have a police department that stands out like that.
Oh, Chief Groyle just does a fantastic job, and his staff do as well.
Yes. So also kind of relating to Oshkosh Police Department is the free bike registration. Now, we talked about this a while ago in our last episode of City Manager's Report, but that free bike registration is still ongoing through May 20th. The $3 fee is being waived during this time, and that's kind of to try and motivate people to register their bikes.
Right. And we have had really good success with that. I think we had a really good turnout when this was first proposed, and it was another idea that was brought forward by the police department. They're all about just trying to serve the public. And, waiving the $3 fee. The $3 fee is, used to help facilitate some of the licensing processing and all that kind of stuff. But really the bottom line is we want to be able to make sure that people have their bikes registered. So if in the event that it's misplaced or stolen, that we can recover that bike and we can make sure that it gets right back to the right person. So,
and I know Mark had mentioned too, so many bikes that are found, or that a lot of times when bikes are stolen, they're kind of just ditched somewhere.
Right.
A lot of those bikes do end up at the police department. I think they've got a basement full of them. So if those bikes are registered, then they've got your information. They can give you a call, and you can come pick up your bike. So
right. And for folks that depend on bikes, and even some of our younger community members, it's really important, and it's gratifying, I know, for them to return bikes to people that have them misplaced. So.
Definitely. So you can get your bike registered right here at City Hall over at the collections and clerks area. Otherwise, there are a couple different events that are coming up at some of our schools here in Oshkosh. You can find those on the Oshkosh Police Department's Facebook page. They're kind of promoting that a little bit to come out and register your bike and kind of trade some tips and tricks for different bike things too. So we're looking forward to that. Again, through May 20th is the free registration time.
Right.
So we want to talk a little bit about the election. Recently, actually, it was about a couple days ago, I think. Now, very close election for the mayor between Steve Cummings and Caroline Pansky.
Right. Councilmember Cummings was the person who was selected as a mayor by the public, and so he's got some big shoes to fill. Mayor Tower is going to be stepping down after serving the city. And doing a tremendous job, really, for the citizenry for well over 10 years. So, so we are very grateful for the time that he served and assisted not only the citizens but also the staff. So,
definitely.
But I know Councilmember Cummings is up to the challenge. I'm sure he'll do a very good job.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to working with him in that capacity.
Definitely, yes, definitely. I know he's got a lot of great plans, but Mayor Tower, all his work is very appreciated, so we do thank him for that, as well as Deb Allison Osby and Tom Peck, both back into their seats as well.
Yes.
And then a new member from UW Oshkosh is Benjamin Stepanek, who is going to be sworn in a couple weeks here, I think, April 21st.
Yes.
So really looking forward to getting to know him.
Right, and Councilmember Pansky is still in her position.
She's still in her position.
We're grateful for that as well.
Yes, yes. And so with the new, with Steve Cummings moving up to the mayor's seat, there now will be a council vacancy. So maybe you can tell us a little bit how all of that works.
Sure. What happens in terms of that process is the council members have an opportunity to select a replacement. And, you know, that's happened a variety of times in the past where I think Jeff Hall was able to secure a job and had to move to a different state, and we had to replace him. He was probably the most recent, I think, departure that we had. But anyway, what the process that they have in place is people can submit their interest to the city clerk's office, and I think they have a deadline established of, I think, 10 o'clock the day before this next council
April
meeting.
20th.
Okay. And then the council members take a look at those people that have expressed interest, and I think they have the opportunity then to come to the next council meeting and provide a small, brief presentation in regard to why they would like to serve in that capacity and why they think they would do a good job for the citizens. So,
Excellent.
So we're looking forward to that process too.
Kind of like applying for a job, really. You know,
it is.
You send in your letter of intent, and then you got to give your little speech.
And it is a very important job.
It is very, yes.
So.
So if you're interested in applying for the council member seat, you can go ahead and visit the city clerk's office right here at City Hall, or you can give them a call at 236-5011. They can email you one of those applications to turn in. And that kind of leads us into our next item here for the first half is the council organizational meeting, which will take place the day after that deadline, April 21st. What exactly is going to be happening at that meeting, John?
Well, what happens is it's really the transition from the old council to the new council. So the old council steps down, and the new council members are sworn in.
Okay.
So Ben will be sworn in on that day, and the new mayor,
Excellent.
I believe, will be sworn in too. So
kind of an exciting day here in Oshkosh.
Yeah, it is an exciting day, and I think it's very exciting for the elected officials. Oftentimes they'll have their family members come to support them, which is nice to see, and it's also nice to have an opportunity to meet them.
Well,
so
wonderful, feel-good meeting.
And they also then, after it's established, the organizational part of the meeting is they usually talk about ground rules. Take a look at the ground rules that they have in place. See if they want to modify any of those as they go forward as a new council. And it's a brief meeting. It's usually held at noon. But I believe we're going to be televising it.
Yes, we will be.
Cable 10.
Yep, we'll have it aired on City Cable 10 as well as online at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. And like you said, we'll kind of get a feel for what our new council will look like. And you know, it's actually a great way to educate yourself on how the meetings actually work too. So tune in for the live meeting on Tuesday, April 21st at noon. Also, again, on OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. So that's going to do it for the first half of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a quick break here. When we return, we'll go ahead and cover the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, April 14th, 2015. We'll be right back.
Want to know what's happening in local government? Stay in the know with City of Oshkosh government meetings, live on TV, City Cable 10, online at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org, and on Community Radio WOCT 101.9 FM. Miss the live coverage? No problem. Catch replays on City Cable 10. Stream online from OshkoshCommunityMedia.org or visit youtube.com/Oshkosh Community Media Services.
On the surface, the simple pleasures in life are going on all around us. But inches beneath the surface, utility lines are carrying electricity, gas, and more to your home. Digger's Hotline helps avoid costly or dangerous mistakes. It doesn't matter how deep you're digging, call 811 or click diggershotline.com 3 working days before you start your project, and we'll help take the risk out of digging. Protect your simple pleasures. Know what's below.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Emily Mikowski, joined by Assistant City Manager John Fitzpatrick.
Thanks,
I'm starting to mix the two together now.
That's right.
So, John, first thing we want to talk about on the agenda today for April 14th, 2015. First off, they're going to be introducing some Go EDC staff.
They are, and for people that aren't aware of what Go EDC is, it's a new economic development organization that's been formed in regard to initiatives that could take place here in the city of Oshkosh. The Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation, that's what Go EDC stands for.
Yes.
And it's my understanding they have their CEO hired. His name is Jason White. Mm-hmm. And then also their communications person, Aaron Sutton.
Yes, and they've actually been pretty busy here. I know I've been talking to Aaron a little bit, and
okay.
they've had their kickoff, their brand launch not too long ago.
I know they have a strategic plan already in place.
They do, yes, and they've got some projects, the revolving loan fund up right now that they're doing. So they definitely have been pretty busy the past few weeks.
Hitting the ground running, so that's great.
Yes. So they'll be at the council meeting for people to kind of put a name to a face a little bit and tell us a little bit about what they're up to.
That'll be good.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Right.
So then the next thing we want to talk about, John, today is Resolution 15163. That's for some benefits, dealing with the benefits in health insurance. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Right. We have a variety of benefits that we have here with the City of Oshkosh, and we happen to be self-funded right now in terms of our health insurance program and some of our other programs. So we have a variety of structures that we have in place in order to facilitate that, and this resolution is intended to secure professional services from a benefit consulting service to help us with some of the things that we need to manage in regard to our benefits. But you're right, primarily health insurance is something that we've been focusing on recently in the last several years. It's one of the reasons we've forayed into the world of having that near-site clinic that we partnered with the school district and the county on. And we really want to make sure that we are doing the best job we can to keep the costs down as low as we possibly can, not only for the employees who take advantage of those benefits, but also the citizens who end up paying for some of those benefits. So this consultant is going to help us navigate through all the difficult issues that we need to try to consider to control costs and also deal with some of the things that are on the forefront, like the Affordable Care Act, for example, to make sure we're in compliance and we have strategies in place that we are maximizing the opportunities for the city.
Definitely. So very important item there, trying to make the best decisions that we can moving forward.
Right.
Next item we want to talk about is dealing with Stevens Park. It's actually for that restroom/shelter construction. It's kind of one of the next phases of some of the projects in the Parks Department.
It is, and I think this is an issue that we talked about at State of the City.
It is.
I think we had an opportunity to share some visuals with the folks there in regard to what the shelter is going to look like, and we're going to be awarding this bid to Cardinal Construction. So it's exciting to actually talk about it as a planned element and then see it come to fruition. So
definitely,
looking
and I
forward
know
to that happening.
Yes, and this project in particular, when they were doing some of the planning meetings for the strategic plan, the community really spoke out about this, and this is something that they really wanted to be maintained.
Absolutely. The Parks Department and Parks Director Mauer does a very good job of involving the community, trying to get their input in terms of what they'd like to see and how they'd like to have things constructed. It's a little bit more commercial, I guess, when we're dealing with a restroom. But the shelter, that was personalized a little bit by the citizenry, so we're glad to have that kind of input.
Great example of the continuous improvement that we're striving for here at the city. So John, next item that we want to talk about is dealing with a project that a lot of people have seen if you've driven down Keller recently, is the Armory Area Detention Basin. And this is kind of towards the end of the project here, and it's one of those things that as you reach the end of the project, there are always those unanticipated challenges that come up. So there's kind of a big number, 218,000 here. What exactly is that for?
Well, one of the things that was required as part of this project was to move a water main, and that's something that contributed to the additional costs associated with this. But it's good to see that we're getting close to the end of this project, because we have many, many watersheds in the city of Oshkosh, and we have a variety of projects that we have on shelf that we want to move forward with. So this is one where we're almost to the end with, and that's good to see.
And it's amazing. I know I was out there at the very start of the project when they were digging the big hole. It looks so much different now, and I just can't even believe how much engineering goes into all those things.
It's not just digging a hole. There really is a lot of complicated engineering that is part of that whole process. So.
Yes. So this item really is those adjustments for the costs, like
final adjustments. And as I said, I know specifically with this project, I think there was one water main that needed to be moved, and that contributed to the additional cost.
Definitely. Well, we're looking forward to that project being completed, and then we'll be on to the next water project.
Right.
John, the next item that we want to talk about here is for actually dealing with the field operations facility. The project is almost to a close here, but it's for some construction material testing. What exactly is that about?
Well, and again, this is a project that we're getting to the end of too, which is very gratifying. This is a project that's taken quite a while, and it's been a long time coming, because we know that the old facility was first built in the 40s, and it's great to know that we're getting to the end of this project. But yeah, when we get to the end, the materials that need to be tested, and we have construction inspectors that will take a look at this to make sure we're compliant with everything we need to do in regard to any kind of contaminated soil or anything like that we might have out there. I have had some citizens come up to me, because we are storing some fill on site, and say, hey, is that safe? Because we know that was an area in the past that was questionable in terms of what was beneath the soil there, and yes, it is safe. Anything that was considered to be anything questionable was removed from the site.
Okay.
But this is just a final step in the process to us completing the field operations
Making
facility.
sure everything's all up to par on that. Okay, great. Another kind of thing that we're looking for some different things being up to par, this next item dealing with the wastewater collection system. Now, there's some evaluations going on for not only the quality of the things that they're doing out there, but also the capacity assurance.
Right. We work with the EPA and also the DNR on all of our water quality issues, and this particular resolution that's on the agenda deals with and here we go with some of the acronyms: CCAP, CMOM. That's a sewer evaluation capacity plan that we have. Excuse me. And then we also have a capacity management operations plan that we have in regard to monitoring the maintenance of what we're doing for all of our sewer and our wastewater, to make sure that we're in compliance with what the DNR wants to see us do, as well as the EPA.
Excellent.
So these are orders that we're following from the EPA.
And it all really goes back to keeping our residents safe with their water quality and things like that. So
Absolutely.
Definitely not something that you want to oversee, that's for sure.
That's right.
John, next item that we want to talk about, actually a few different items ranging throughout the agenda, but the two of them that are next to each other having to do with the enterprise resource planning. I know everybody's, it's ERP, everywhere you see ERP, that stands for enterprise resource planning.
Right.
First off, tell us a little bit about that new software that we're looking forward to.
Well, an enterprise resource planning system is really, the idea is you take a look at all of the software that you have in the organization, and you want to make sure that it can talk to that it can all be integrated and it can talk to each other. So we had a lot of standalone systems, and sometimes when they evolved, they were written specifically for one specific area. But to be able to gather information from one area and share it with another, that's the idea behind an enterprise system, to share all that information. And this item, as well as the item next to it, and I think in the city manager's report, there's another element that involve us implementing this new software, moving some employees from the water utility that are finance employees back to finance, and then also working through the ERP process and making sure that as we go forward and we take a look at the new software, that we can make operational changes on the fly. So it's everything associated with that project.
It's a big project.
It really is.
And there will be some different renovations going on, moving the water utility accounting over to City Hall,
Right.
moving purchasing
And
around.
as we move forward, people will see most of the changes on first floor. So I think it'll really have a tremendous impact on our operations, from an efficiency perspective as we
Definitely.
go forward.
Kind of streamlining everything a little bit.
Absolutely.
Great. One of the final items that we want to talk about today, John, is having to do with some Riverwalk improvements. Another, as always, it's an exciting thing to talk about. This one is a grant over by the Morgan District in the Boatworks property.
Right. We've been fortunate to be able to secure a lot of grants for our Riverwalk, and I think one of the reasons we do is because the grantors know that we have a lot of available land and we're ready to go on projects. So I think this particular grant is for $500,000, and that certainly would help us continue to make progress on the river.
Yes.
So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
It's an ongoing project, always, yes.
Yes.
So that's another exciting item. Really quickly, we just want to touch on this. I know we're almost out of time. Is the Grand Opera House agreement? Give us just a brief overview of that one.
I know we don't have much time, but I'm very pleased to say that we're at a point where we believe we can bring an agreement forward. As people know, the Grand Opera House Foundation runs the operations of the Grand. We're responsible for the facility. They're working very hard on updating an agreement that really hasn't been looked at since before I started here, which is quite a while. So I think it'll be a good thing for all parties.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to that. And then again, at the end of the meeting, the city manager will also give us another update on what we talked about in the first half of the show on the council vacancy,
Right.
And the meeting coming up on the 21st.
Exactly.
So that is going to do it for this episode of City Manager's Report.
Okay.
So John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 or on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. You can also listen to it at 101.9 WOCT, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates, or go ahead and check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff for the next episode, send it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode. So as always, thank you so very much for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.